And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up everyone, and we're back here today with a video. This time taking a look at the Sergeant Slaughter, or T54 Renegade skin. They came out quite a while ago, obviously, but better late than never, I guess. And I've only got one game in it, unfortunately. Usually I'd like to try to put 2 games in a vehicle. Not really a review, but kind of some thoughts about this tank. And whether it's a good tier 8 prem or not, I kind of think it is. It maybe isn't suited to my playstyle as much, just because of the lack of mobility it has relatively compared to other stuff like the Dragon, or even Ragnarok, stuff like that. But the 3-shot autoloader on this tank with 360 alpha is quite nice, I will be honest. It's just a little slow for my taste. It's basically, it's kind of like a tier 8 T57 with worse gun handling. And yeah, and kind of it lacks in the pen department as well. The AP rounds are kind of a little low with penetration, and APCR is only around 250 something. So again, it's not great there either. But it's an autoloader with decent mobility. It's like a weird tank. It says it's a heavy tank, but it doesn't really have the armor of a heavy tank. You can get some lucky bounces because of the shape of the hull, but the overall thickness of the armor isn't that great, I'll be honest. So if you do bounce stuff, it's more likely to just hit a weird angle, and we are going to have some of that later this game. As RNG was both really bad to me, as you see with this clip, second shot pens, and the third shot, less RNG and just more, he stopped before we thought he would. So first clip of damage out. He's got 1 out of 3. Not the way you really want to do it in your autoloader, especially with 25-second reload on this thing. Just about all kitted out. So kind of want to avoid that. We're still going with AP here. Again, I actually carry more APCR than AP in this thing, which is kind of rare. I usually don't try to do that too much in most tanks, but this thing just felt a little lacking in the pen department, as we do pen the 60 TP twice, and the second shot went way high, and his return shot just goes into oblivion, so we're lucky there. And if you can pen all 3 shots in this thing with the 360 alpha, which is kind of a very niche kind of alpha, not something a lot of tanks have, at least it's tier 8, and even tier 10. Because honestly, the only other tier 10 that I know that has 360 alpha off the bat of my head is the Progetto 65T, the Italian tier 10 that has 360. Very weird, at least my opinion, alpha. And you see now we have kind of a dilemma here. This matchmaking is not bad. I mean, it's +2, but it's not heavily like we're one of only 3 tier 8s. Probably half their team or over half their team is still tier 8. So realistically, we should be able to pen most of their tanks that we come across. But so far, it seems like we're just running across a lot of their heavily armored tier 10s and even tier 9s with the 60 TP and the Malshin. And then we look over here. Oh, good. A Jaegeru. That's easy, right? And then, of course, if you leave the APCR, a stock Panther 2 appears, and we just waste these rounds on a guy that we really don't need it on. So instead, we just miss, and that's even better. Third one goes in quote-unquote blind, but we knew he was still there. It's not like he had just disappeared. So 5 shots of damage so far, with 3 clips fired, I believe, or 4 clips, something like that. And at this point, I'm just trying to get into a better position with this tank. This is where we can do more damage. There is no arty in this game, so that's nice. Always is. And at this point, I usually like this middle position very much, especially with guns, or tanks, I should say, with some gun depression to work. Now, this thing doesn't have any armor, workable armor, I should say, like turret armor or anything like that. As Stone Cold gets shut down. We have to be careful here, though, because there's obviously TDs. We know there's a Yag back there. There's the SU-130, who's right here. We do track him, and then we put their third shot in as well. Again, you can kind of see the gun hitting on this thing is which isn't surprising. The American tanks never really have the most accurate guns in the world or in the game, so it's kind of to be expected, honestly. But I generally do like this position on Con from this spawn. It just gets control of a lot of the map, honestly. As long as your team has some guys up on the hill, you can generally be pretty safe here. Right now we have an E100. Again, another one of their heavily armored tanks. So we'd be useless firing APCR at him. We do get one pen here as he goes sideways on. Useless firing AP rounds at him right now. It would just be wasting silver, honestly. And even the APCR is pretty much not going to work frontally. We're going to try that in a second and see that that's pretty much useless. Somehow we get spotting damage. I probably do have one of my good light tankers in this, but still that's a little bit of a stretch because I don't even think I was poking out on the Borsig, but apparently I was. Or, the Scorpion G. So a little surprising there. And then we do get the spot on the Sergeant Slaughter with our 2 remaining rounds. So our first one goes right into his side and does no damage. And our second one goes into his tracks and doesn't even track him in place. Yeah. Good clip of damage there. So this game's been kind of hit or miss so far. We penned some shots. We bounced some shots. Had some questionable RNG. And that's okay. That's kind of what the game does at this point. And now we see this E100 kind of pushing in, and we're kind of going to make a misplay here to a certain extent. We're just now loaded. We should let this E100 push in more, but we don't. And unfortunately, he switches his attention right to me. First one, I tried to track him. Second one, I'm trying to go for a little red bit. If you aim down onto his hull, it actually turns red. If you're high enough above the E100. But unfortunately it doesn't go in. Our last one doesn't go in either, as it hits not the bar on top, which I believe it's about 250 millimeters. So technically a weak spot. And here we get very, very, very lucky as he bounces, I believe, either off our turret at a weird angle or our engine deck off the flat of it. So could have died there, didn't, and yeah, very, very lucky. So not playing perfectly this game, but doing enough to stay alive, I guess, with a little help from RNG. And at that point, honestly, with this E100, I see he just fired, and I'm like, okay, I have 4 other tanks around me. They're definitely going to come in and help me here. It's 4 of the tanks. Yeah, that's not going to happen. As I damage him once, luckily track him with our last shot to keep him in place. Somebody does put a shot into him. It's the Motherland of all things, who has worse pen than me. Then the Progetto finally puts a shot into him, but for some reason, I guess the Progetto doesn't have any more rounds, so he's not going to poke out. And unfortunately, that means the Motherland is going to die. Our Scorpion G is AFK, and we're still running away. Progetto bounces another shot. Light tank bounces a shot, and then finally we reload miraculously and are able to finish the 100 off, thankfully. And you can see here I'm a little bit questioning the Progetto's gameplay. So whatever. Move on, I guess. But just little bit bizarre moment there. Honestly, I was kind of questioning that whole engagement as it happened while I was playing. So weird engagement, but we got away with it, and now we're just kind of moving on. So we know one of our teammates is AFK, one's questionable, and another is a light tank with kind of low pen against a Malshin who's on full health, and we're running out of APCR rounds. So we can't pen the Malshin's turret sideways on like that. Unfortunately, though, there's a gap in the rocks, so the Malshin does put one into us. And at this point, I was hoping the Progetto was going to maybe dump his clip into him, but I think the Jaeger has reappeared and is in an overwatch position at some point, so that's why he's not poking out. And he does start to actually put some shots into the Malshin now. Maybe should have loaded APCR at this point because of knowing what tanks were left on their team, including the Jaeger. So either the Malshin or the Jag, APCR would have been very nice to have in this spot, as we're definitely a one-shot for the Malshin. And this is just a really tricky fight now. So we just kind of have to bide our time. Hopefully they make a mistake. Unfortunately, right now the Malshin is pushing me. He has enough gun depression to poke over, trying to track him. He's going to pen me if he doesn't get unlucky, and he gets unlucky. We do angle a little bit. We back up and make the angle better for us and better for our gun. So it's at least an orange pen marker or a better orange pen marker for myself, and it does have enough to go through his side and take him out. Some luck there, obviously, but also angling the tank. Very minute, just to give myself the best chance of maybe bouncing, and it did work out. And at this point, I'm just trying to buy my time to reload and dump another clip of damage, hopefully. And loading the APCR again, because we have a one-shot Sergeant Slaughter on their team. So, yeah, the majority of my clip is going to hopefully go into the Jaeger, if I can find his side armor. Again, from the front, going to be a little bit of a pain. And it's always the key with autoloaders, is just kind of biding your time until you can reload enough. Reload another clip as we finish off their Sergeant Slaughter, and then we're going to poke out, put one into the ag, and then try to get the track. We do, we get the track, and now can we get another clip off to kill this guy before the Progetto gets here? Maybe. I doubt it though. But it's always something with autoloaders, is just trying to buy time, not always being engaged. Even after that Malshin was dead, I didn't just charge straight up the hill. I kind of took my time, took a little bit of extra time, maneuvered around, because I know I kind of could, and I didn't want to just go into the fight with no ammo. That makes no sense, and really isn't a great play. Now, I'm only loading the 2 PCR because obviously it just gives me a better chance of penning this Yag if I can get a shot onto him, but at this point, that's not going to happen. He's stuck behind the hill, and the Progetto should get his flank fairly easily here, hopefully, and wrap this game up. And sure enough, he does. Or actually, the SU-130 does, sorry. And we finished that one out with a very nice result for a +2 game. Not the worst +2 matchmaking in the world, but regardless, still +2, tier 8 and a tier 10 game, and we get 2,200 base out of it, 3 kills, and 5,200 damage, along with 1,600 assists, which is kind of surprising. But again, I think I had my T49 crew, which has 18 perks, something like that, 17, 18 perks on it, so it's all kitted out at this point, and it's not too surprising to even pick up assisted damage in a tank like this that's not really meant for that. So, is it a good tank? Yeah, it's pretty good. It just depends if it fits your playstyle. You're more into heavies or that autoloader heavy role, such as the T57 Heavy, so you probably like this tank. I find the T57 Heavy quite boring to play. It's good, but it's quite boring to play. So that's kind of my idea of this thing. Good, not my cup of tea, but hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. See ya. Peace.